I always had the question of like, God, like, why did you make me this way? I've struggled with that since high school, and this was the Lord, like, this is why I gave you this, is because now you're able to help all these families. So like, you just needed to trust me. Wouldn't ask for this, but like, I'm so glad that he gave it to me so that I'm able to help people.
All right, friends, I get the chance to introduce you to a new friend here at the Boundless Show. Her name is Mia Robertson. If you know that last name, you know that she is part of the Duck Dynasty fam. She's actually the daughter of Jase and Missy, for those of you who have watched the show and been in all the things and followed them throughout the years. And she has her own story, of course. And this is really a privilege for us to have you here at the Boundless Show. So welcome, Mia.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Well, this is really fun. So okay, well, I want to start by, again, for those who maybe need a refresh on Duck Dynasty, the show, Duck Commander, all the things. Tell us a little bit about your experience growing up in that family. And in part because we have listeners from all over the world, Mia. So we have people listening who don't know a thing about Louisiana, who don't know a thing about Cajun culture and all the things and that. So give them a little picture of where you're from and kind of how you grew up and what was unique about it.
So I grew up in Monroe, Louisiana, which is like the bigger city, but I grew up in West Monroe, and I had the greatest childhood. I was telling people earlier, like, everyone in my neighborhood is all related.
Okay.
So I grew up
kind of unusual.
I would leave school and I would go home and play with my cousins.
Okay.
And obviously, if you know anything about Louisiana, you know our food is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime we have visitors, we prepare them that it's going to be a little spicy.
Mm-hmm.
And we take them to get crawfish, and their lives are changed. That's my favorite meal in the world. And I just grew up in a community that really supports each other and leans on each other, and they'll do honestly anything to help in any way. And that's all I've known. And just a very like hospitable culture, and I feel like anyone that's from West Monroe would agree.
Yeah.
Like,
so when you're talking about like your family living in Monroe and West Monroe, how big are we talking here? Like your extended family, do you have like your own zip code? Do you have what's going on here? Because it seems pretty big on the show.
Yes,
so
we have
tell
a big
us
family.
the reality of this.
So my grandparents, like they had 4 sons, and all 4 sons live in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of their kids, a lot of their kids built houses in the same neighborhood. So very, very big. And that was, I wouldn't say we have our own zip code, but people always know, like, which one are you? That there's too many of us for them to actually know what all of our names are.
Yeah.
But yeah, with it being such a small town, it's so funny because I'll go to a coffee shop and then there's 2 of my cousins, and then I'll go get lunch and there's 3 more of them.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like we kind of like we run the city a little bit because there's so many of us. But yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
So when you were like a kid, did you think that just everyone's family had a TV show, or this was like what life was like of these people are coming from New York, or they're coming from LA, or they're going to do all the things and they're just in my town? Yes,
I think my parents did a good job of like mentally preparing, I guess, us for the challenges that would come like with the show.
Okay.
They did do like an amazing job just keeping faith at the center, because it is really hard, because we had like a lot of people on the crew were from LA, and you know, I learned a lot of cuss words at a very young age, and just like doing good if I never saw my family say cuss words or never saw them do any of that. So just like making sure I was kind of modeling their behavior was like just really awesome, and they set up such a good like standard for me to follow. And then I guess like I didn't realize I was quote unquote famous until I went to Disney World. And this was probably season 2 of Duck Dynasty, and everyone was asking for my brother's picture. They all thought he was so cute. And I was like, why did they want his picture? And we couldn't go anywhere.
You're like, he's not that cute.
Yes. And so I realized like, whoa, this is worldwide. All these people that are coming to us are from different countries. And I didn't really understand that. I didn't understand people actually watched us.
Okay, you're 21 heading towards 22, right?
Yes.
22 years old. Okay. You have a little bit of a unique story in that you were born with a cleft lip and palate, and you just went through, was it your 16th
Yes.
surgery? And when did that happen?
That was last summer.
Okay, so 16th. So talk about what some of the physical challenges of this being, because I know the story. I mean, I was reading the story about how your parents found out about that in utero, and they had the chance to, kind of prep your brothers on like, hey, this is going to be our story and all that. But what would you say yourself personally? How have any challenges related to having a cleft palate, cleft lip, whatever, all the surgeries, how have they affected and maybe even grown or challenged your relationship with God over the years?
Yeah, so my parents did a really good job of not making me feel different. And the school I went to is a private Christian school, and I never was bullied by that. And it
That's
was just
awesome.
really awesome. I also was a very loud, extroverted, confident little girl. So
Mm-hmm.
I just like kind of knew who I was. And I think that was also really important, but that's because of the family that I was in. They always supported me. They showed up to every surgery. There was 40 people
Hmm.
in the room with me, and they made me feel so loved and special, but not different, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really talked about it as a child. Like, I was thinking about like, how is my life hard? And I never thought of Cliplet Palette, which is so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking back, I'm like, I had such a challenging like childhood, but that was not part of it to me.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, the normal. Like, I get to miss school and go to Dallas and go to the doctor today and get chips and queso after. Like, and I never understood like that's actually a really hard thing, to go through. I never was like really angry at God for making me this way. I never really like thought about that. I was just like, God made me this way, and I'm awesome. And then I got to high school, and I went to a public high school, and I was kind of embarrassed that like I had to go to the doctor, and I had like a lot of surgeries in high school, and I was just kind of embarrassed by that, and like didn't want anyone to know. And that's just part of being a teenager. You don't want to look different at all. But like here I was like knowing I actually do look different. This is really challenging. And I had a really big surgery my junior year, and they were like 6 months of really, really pain. That was pretty much, they told me, like, you're going to be in pain for 6 months and you can't eat solid food and it's going to be really rough. And that's such like a pivotal year. Junior in high school is such a big year in someone's
Mm-hmm.
life. And that was the first time where I was like crying to God, like, why did you make me this way? I'm not really understanding, and I'm like kind of upset with you because like all my friends like don't have to deal with this, and like junior year is already so tough, and like here I am now like in 6 months of pain. And but my mom is just like, she's really been my rock through everything. My dad, like, he'll tell you like he could not stand to see me in pain. So whenever I get home from the hospital, he's in his room and he'll like come out and like peek out, and like my home base is the living room when after
Oh.
I have surgery, and he's like, you okay? Like, you look really beautiful. Not that you didn't look it before, but like he's so uncomfortable because he hates seeing his little girl in pain.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom is the one that she's like, you got this. Like, you got to push through. Like, you got to keep it together. Like, you got this. And that is like, both of those things are exactly what I need. And they work together in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I did not have them and their support, like, I would be a totally different person.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of like what you're describing, from this was just your normal, like you from infancy. And when you're a kid, it's kind of like you're just doing whatever your parents tell you to do and go here and stay here and do this and here's your next surgery. But now you're kind of coming into your own, and you have to realize like, wow, I have to manage relationships. I have to see where I trust God in this. I have to see, what is the next step? Where am I going to be going after this? What is, young adulthood hold for me? So I could see how that could be tricky and bring up a lot of questions. And so you're in college in Tennessee. Well, first of all, tell us, what are you studying and what are you hoping to do with your degree when you're done?
Okay, so this is actually part of why I'm in Colorado Springs, is trying to figure out which path, I guess, for my career that I want to take. I'm a psychology major, but at my school, I go to Lipscomb, and I love it so much. I'm devastated I'm going to be a senior because I would just start all over. I love it so much.
Uh-huh.
But with psychology, like the route that my school usually takes with psychology is counseling, and I want to work in forensic psychology. So there's a lot of different fields, and I don't know exactly which one I want to do yet, but I know that I want to help people and help people that usually people don't want to help. And so that's kind of why I'm here, and I'm really excited. I've been already I've learned so much already, and I just got here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, try to navigate that and trusting in God, because I have no idea where I'm gonna be, what state or country I'm gonna be in a year after I graduate. But just kind of trusting that the Lord is gonna open that door for me and close doors that I don't need to go through. So
Yeah. And was that a process, Mia, of you kind of figuring out like, what do I want to study? What might God have for me? Or are you still exploring the possibilities of that? But where did the interest first come from?
When I got to Lipscomb, I was biology, and you have to take intro to psych as a biology major, and I hated all my biology classes. I was like okay at it, but was not passionate about it at all. And I just kept thinking, this is way too hard for me not to be passionate about it. And I looked forward to going to my psych class every day, and I could not wait to learn more. I would meet my professor and be like, this is awesome, I love this. And he was like, you need to be a psych major. Like, this is like, no one else is coming to me like with this love for this class.
Yeah.
And so that's really all I needed to hear. And so I switched to psych, and every class I've taken, I've loved so much. It's really the tricky part, because every single career path with psych I love. So I'm just trying to figure out which one is best for me.
Okay, how much are you bugging your family members with all your psychoanalysis of them? Like, hey, you should read this, or you should do this, or here.
I think my dad is very like interested. He loves having a deep talk. Everyone that knows him, all of my friends that come over, they're mentally prepared to have a 2-hour talk with him when they walk through the door.
Okay.
And so it's really awesome. We'll like go through books together, and just like, we went through Mere Christianity a few summers ago, and like, he's a very deep thinker. And so we'll go through that, and we love just like figuring stuff out together. And I think that's just really awesome because he has so much insight. But that's definitely helped too. Like, I feel like if he was in school, he would have liked psych a lot. Like, he would have loved it so much. So it's just really nice to have that too, and have that help.
That's cool. So obviously, being in your early 20s, you see like young adulthood ahead of you. And like I alluded to before, having, you're going to have decisions to make, you're going to have to make choices, choose paths, all of that. As you think of that and the foundation that you've been given through your family and through a heritage of faith, when you think about it, like, what advice do you go to your mom for? What advice do you go to your dad for? And who else do you have speaking into your life on various levels?
Okay. I feel like that's a tough question. I'm very, very independent. And so like the little things, I feel like I'm like, I'll handle this. But anytime that I'm on the verge of tears for any situation, I call my mom. And she just has any advice I need, whether it's about what should I do, honestly, with anything, like what should I do with my job, what should I do with anything. She offers so much insight. And also just like friend situation, boy situations, it's like she knows the exact thing to say, like the exact right thing to say. And that has been like, she's just awesome. And like, I love talking to her. My friends, they'll come over and talk to her. So I feel like honestly anything that I need help for, she's my first call. With my dad, it's more of like what I want to learn if I have a spiritual like logistical question of like it's like a really deep question that I know he's studied. He is studying his Bible for his own podcast every day, and he's doing so much work in that. And I know like if I have a question about like this verse in Ephesians, he's probably read an entire book on that verse. And so I'll go to him for those questions. And so it's like they each bring just a unique set of skills, but they're both rooted in their own prayer walk and their own like what they read in the Bible that day. And it's just, you can so see that their advice and what they're going to tell me is rooted in prayer and rooted in what they've already learned about the Bible. And that's so important. That's why I go to them for things, is because I know that it's rooted in Jesus.
So if you had to, I'm assuming you've had to find community like at school, and what that looks like to invest in friendships, and maybe some of your professors have become kind of voices for you. How has that transition gone to really kind of spreading your wings and being like, yeah, I'm living a portion of my year away from my family? What have you specifically kind of seen yourself grow in, and what kind of have you had to trust God with, especially now as a college student?
I think I really prayed about finding godly friends. In high school, it was really hard to find like actual godly friends. They'd say they're Christian, but like they really weren't living it out. And so that was my biggest fear going in, of like, Lord, give me spiritual friends. And on the first day of school, like I met 3 girls and we're still best friends. And so that was an answered prayer in itself. But I am really lucky because both my brothers live in Nashville too. So if anything, like my car breaks down all the time. And so anything I have with that or just anything I need, my brothers are always there. But I have just like an amazing community that the Lord has blessed me with. And my church is called Harpeth Hills. And I was the intern there last year, and that was such a game changer. I didn't really have like mentors in Nashville. It's just kind of like my brothers and my friends or like people I'd call on the phone. But I mean, there is tens of people I could call at my church that would drop everything for me. And I did not know that existed outside of my community. And that has been like the biggest game changer of college was having just like adults and parents and families that I could go to for anything that feel like my family at home.
Yeah. Do you feel like, do you talk about with your friends, like, again, some of the things we talk about here at Boundless are like, yeah, what does my future look like? Like, what's the dating scene? Am I going to get married? Am I going to have a family? Or are you more about school and maybe getting a career together now? Like, how do you have these conversations with your friends? And
all of my friends we have very different career paths.
Okay.
So we've always said we'll go on a beach trip every summer. And my friend that's going to be a dentist, she'll help buy the house and we'll all go there every summer. But yeah, I would say that we have a lot of good spiritual talks, but it's so hard because college, everyone's schedule is so different. And so what we found works best for us is like everyone kind of has a day. And so like one of my best friends, we meet every Monday at a coffee shop and we talk about what we learned at church the day before. We go to different churches and we're all very independent and we talk about just what we learned at church. And which is so funny because the coffee shop we go to has a gay pride flag and we're talking about like stuff that they would not agree with. But it's kind of been for us just like honestly ministry in itself. Like we go there all the time and like the baristas will sit down. It's like they'll come to us about their problems and we'll help them and they're not Christian at all. And it's like just friends like that where we've gotten to lean on each other and we're actually able to help others too. And I feel like it's so funny because I could have never seen myself doing that like as a freshman in high school or even just like as a senior in high school. But the Lord has given me so much confidence with other girls my age that are spiritual that it's really been a game changer where it's like I'm not shy about my faith. Like I'll walk in anywhere and if, Jesus comes up, which he probably will, with us, then like we're able to answer any questions. And I feel like that's been such a game changer.
And that's so cool because it doesn't seem like you are, I think it's hard for a lot of young adults to make the transition into taking their faith for their own, but you're not like, oh, it's cool, I'm a Robertson, so that's just who I am or whatever. You're realizing that your relationship with the Lord has to be your own. You're going to learn things from him. You have an opportunity to share the gospel, share his love with other people in the places you're planted. And so I think that's a neat transition to realize like, oh my goodness, like I have a relationship with God that is mine and he's going to grow me on his timetable. And he's going to be, there might be some things that end up looking a little different from, your family or the things that he's brought them through. To that end, what is next? Are there any more surgeries on the horizon or what do you look forward to on that journey?
So I actually have no idea if I'll have another surgery. Because when I was born, they told me I would have 4. So
oh, wow.
we never say
You're
that's the last
overachiever.
one.
Okay.
Like we never do. But every time I go back, they're like, oh, we need to fix something. So I could see myself probably having a surgery too.
Okay.
But they won't be big.
Okay.
They'll just be like scar tissue and like touch-ups.
Okay.
But I try not to just because like this is something a lot of people don't know about me is like half my face is completely numb from nerve damage. And so every time I have surgery, I lose a little bit more. So I just don't necessarily if I can live without it, I'm good. So all my bones are looking good. So that's the biggest issue and we're good with that. So any other surgery will be minor, so that's good.
That's fantastic. Okay, so to that point, you and your parents have really gotten involved in a ministry, an outreach, a fundraising opportunity that you called Mia Moo. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Mia Moo Fund was started when I was in 3rd grade. And obviously, I could not run a charity at 8 years old, so my parents did that with the help of my great Aunt Bonnie. And they really took it over. We would speak and do all that stuff, but I was kind of a kid, so I didn't really help that much. It was just kind of like my face and my story, but I was still a kid. And then when I was a freshman in high school, we just kind of all sat down and we were like, we're only just giving people money. People are donating and we're like giving people money, but we don't know the families, and how are we gonna help them? Like, we could help them more. So my dad that was really on his heart, and so we used all of our ideas and decided to do a fun day, and that's a weekend in October at the summer camp that I have worked at for honestly my whole life. And all the families that me and Mua's helped come down. And so obviously they don't all come down, but we have about 30 every year, 30 families. So there's like over 100 people there. And it's a day for the child to know they're not alone, because I didn't know anybody else with cleft lip palate, and like we know that Satan works his best games when you're alone, and so all these kids get to see other kids that look exactly like them and that know what it's like to have a bone graft surgery, and that know what it's like to not be able to eat your favorite food. And the parents, they give, like, the older parents will give advice to the younger parents, and the younger parents will ask questions, and it's so beautiful. And so that's just like a whole other, like, we don't, like, yes, we're like a foundation, but we're so much more. We're like relational based. And I've met so many awesome parents that are just, they just want help. And like, it is just so awesome to see full circle, like what God, like, I always had the question of like, God, like, why did you make me this way? I've struggled with that since high school, and this was the Lord, like, this is why I gave you this, is because now you're able to help all these families. So like, you just needed to trust me. And so sometimes, you know, it's like, I obviously wouldn't ask for this, but like, I'm so glad that he gave it to me so that I'm able to help people.
Yeah. You never know what God's going to do through it, man. And what a great future ahead for those kids and for you as he continues to use you.